It's Friday, June 19th, and this is now on HNN.
So we're going to see this bump for a little bit.
Late-breaking news from the Department of Health regarding the spike in coronavirus cases.
Absolutely wear your mask, just like we were doing before when we were at practically 0 cases.
This as bars and gyms on Oahu are allowed to reopen.
And so we're excited to open, but at the same time, we're being very cautious.
And summer vacationers are being forced to weigh testing, quarantine, or staying home.
What are the conditions that need to change in order for the Department of Health to feel comfortable with us implementing?
It's a day highlighting the end of slavery, but many say this year means so much more. I'm Skyler Hemmer in Washington as the country celebrates Juneteenth.
For people to just appreciate the history of it.
These stories, plus more changes for Walt Disney World, coming up on This Is Now. Good afternoon on this Friday. The time is now 12:32 and you're watching This Is Now. I'm your director, Jonathan, alongside Mahea here, who's in for Ashley. Unfortunately, we have to begin with a big jump in the number of coronavirus cases for the state.
We begin with late-breaking news from the health department. Hawaii saw a worrisome spike in COVID-19 cases today, with 27 new cases reported statewide. That's the largest single-day spike since April 4th. Now, of the new cases reported Friday, 25 are on Oahu, 1 is on Maui, and 1 is on Kauai. The cases bring the statewide total of COVID-19 cases in the island since the pandemic began to 789. Lieutenant Governor Josh Green just gave HNN an update on the situation.
We're seeing the result of the nonviolent protests and the combination of extra activity that's gone on in the last 2 weeks. Usually it takes 10 to 12 days before someone's been in contact and then maybe begins to get the virus and then manifests enough for a test. So that's what's happened. We're seeing the residual from that. So we're going to see this bump for a little bit and then it will come down as long as we do a good job with tracing and testing.
One big question state health officials have for dropping that out-of-state quarantine for visitors is, will there be enough test kits? Lynn Kawano looks into the details.
Maximum testing capability is about 3,000 a day in Hawaii, but just the Halenani situation alone requires almost 1,000 tests in one day. That's why DOH leaders are worried there won't be enough when we start welcoming tourists again.
Pre-arrival testing is something Alaska is trying, and Department of Health Director Bruce Anderson explained to a Senate committee how it could work here.
One of the attractive options was a CVS long stores, basically, or CVS stores. They've got 12 or 1,400 stores across the country that could be doing this kind of testing, and then certify that they've been tested and found to be negative.
But state epidemiologist Sarah Park is still concerned about the ability to do enough tests.
So, Dr. Park, you're saying that the pre-test you're uncomfortable with. Mm-hmm. So what about testing upon arrival?
I'm just trying to make sure that these travelers are somehow able to be tracked by us if this is going to be allowed.
Dr. Park says the demand for tourist testing could reduce her ability to deal with new outbreaks in the local population.
What are the conditions that need to change in order for the Department of Health to feel comfortable with us implementing this?
Dr. Park told senators there needs to be a way to force travelers to still quarantine if the supply of test kits dwindles.
Thermal screeners were also discussed, and DOH wants the new passenger forms to be digitized so the information is uploaded automatically if immediate contact tracing is needed. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
State officials are eyeing what's happening up in Alaska. That's because they've opened up their airports to travelers from the continental United States. Our sister station, Sammy Solina, was on Sunrise this morning to talk about how it's going.
Good morning to you, Sammy. How's it going there?
Hey, good morning. Things are going pretty well, and just like Hawaii, we had that 14-day quarantine mandate in place, but now there are ways to get around that if you want to visit Alaska. One way is you can take a test 72 hours before your flight, and if you have those negative results, then you bring them with you, you give it to officials, and then you're pretty much good to go. All you have to do is fill out your mandatory declaration form for interstate travel that tells officials where you're going to be, and then 7 to 14 days afterwards, you take that test again. Now, what if you can't take that test before you come to Alaska? Well, at all of the major airports, we have COVID-19 testing facilities. And I'll go ahead and show you kind of what they look like. So you'll come in, that's one of the first things that you're going to do when you get off the plane. Hopefully it takes 3 to 5 days before when you get those test results back, because you do have to self-isolate when you're waiting for those tests to come back negative. So you go to your hotel, you quarantine there, and then hopefully there have been instances where people have taken a little bit longer to get their test results back. We have had some cases where people don't wait for their results to come back and then they come back positive and they've interacted with people. So we're waiting to see what the ramifications are going to be for people who do that. So far we've had 78 out-of-state cases come into Alaska with COVID-19. They're not all tourists. A lot of them are workers that come up for our fishing season for the summer. But overall, we've had about 708 cases.
Sammy, I'm curious because this is something that Hawaii is looking at very closely. Have there been problems since you guys started that testing at the airport? Long lines, long waits, anything like that?
Yeah, so some people have said that they've had to wait longer, which really sucks when you are a visitor and you're coming up here and you want to enjoy Alaska. We have heard of people taking a little bit longer than 5 days, and that's just something that people have to factor that into their trip. Hopefully they can take that test 72 hours before they depart, and then they don't have to wait for the results here, but that's just something that you have to factor in if you're going to come up here.
And since these new rules went into place earlier this month, have you seen a large uptick of people traveling to Alaska?
So actually when everything let up, we did see about 2,000 people within the first 4 days come into Alaska once that mandate was let up, although they still have to do that testing. And if you don't do the testing here or that testing before, you still have to do that 14-day quarantine. But people are definitely taking advantage of that, but it's not like last summer or the summers before. Our travel industry is definitely getting hit like you guys.
So Sammy, one issue that we have been grappling with here in Hawaii is whether or not we should track visitors, how we can do that, and how do we make sure that they're not breaking their quarantine. What is Alaska doing?
So it's really hard, right? We have this form that says where that person is going to be, what they need to do, and hopefully the people that they're interacting with, the families that they're staying with. But we did see a case in Ketchikan, which is a smaller Alaskan community, where that person, they did not self-isolate. They got their test results back 2 days after they came, but they were going ahead, they were going to parties, they were hanging out with friends. And then they got the results back and it was positive. So there is potential legal action that can be taken against that individual. Right now they're still investigating. So we're not exactly sure what authorities will be doing if something like that comes up.
All right, Sammy, former intern here at HNN. Good to see you up there in Alaska working hard.
Yeah,
Good
it's
job, Sammy.
cold over there sometimes, but yeah, she's doing great, Sammy.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about what's happening here locally some more, right? There's some bunch of stuff opening.
Yeah, it's a big opening day on this Friday. Starting today on Oahu, groups of up to 10 people, regardless of household, are allowed to gather indoors, but the total number of people at these indoor gatherings cannot exceed 50.
And this is a big deal.
It is a very big deal. Also happening today, the Pearl Harbor National Memorial and the USS Bowfin Park and Museum will reopen to the public. Plexiglass shields are up at the USS Arizona Memorial Museum store. There will also be a limit on the number of people allowed in. There's no date yet for the reopening of the Arizona Memorial.
Yeah, big year for the Pearl Harbor anniversaries. We'll have to wait and see how that unfolds for December. I know they haven't probably even started planning what they're going to have to do now, considering everything we're dealing with the pandemic, with the ceremonies there.
But it is a big day for a lot of museums. Bishop Museum opening, Iolani Palace reopening, and this was a big deal because, you know, they really rely on tourists and a lot of people to come and pay the admission rates, and so they've been struggling. So this is a huge step forward for them.
Well, one more big reopening, bars and gyms.
Cheers.
And that's Casey Lund's at one of them, and it's not a bar. Here he is. Let's check in with him.
You know, we've all had our routines shaken up a bit because of the pandemic, but for folks that rely on the gym and working out for their mental and physical well-being, It's been a tough few months, so they're excited to get back, but facilities like Unique Fitness are asking them to be patient as they return to the gym.
Today is exciting. It's back to the routine, which I definitely personally missed.
Mario Garcia is manager at the downtown gym Unique Fitness. On their first day back open, staff here were welcoming only 10 members at a time. They have to wear face masks upon entering, but can choose to remove them while working out.
We are just trying to adjust the best way we can. We're trying to take as many precautions as we can, cleaning, disinfecting every hour for 30 minutes. We clean, disinfect everything, make sure it is ready for the next wave of members coming in.
Members here had the option to work out with trainers virtually or do their best to maintain things on their own, which, as many of us know, just isn't the same.
It's boring. As someone that works in the fitness industry, you like to be active, you like to socialize, hang around members, talk to them, and then exercise yourself as well.
Founders of Unique Fitness chose its name because they feel what they offer is unique. A downtown location, pool, hot tub, and sauna. They also provide members with clothing, towels, and toiletries, so no gym bag is needed. All those services are still here, just tweaked a little to keep everyone safe.
We are minimizing contact with members. We used to hand out locker keys. We don't do that anymore. They're already on the lockers in the locker room. All the towels and clothing that we offer to our members, they are already set in the locker rooms or right on the front desk.
Unique Fitness is still offering some online courses for those people that maybe don't feel comfortable returning to the facility just yet. You can find a link to that at this story on HawaiiNewsNow.com.
The iconic Iolani Palace also reopens its doors today. For now, the palace will only be open for self-guided audio tours Fridays and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. There was just a press conference regarding the dire financial situation the palace is in. Here's Paula Akana with the Friends of Iolani Palace.
Palace is in trouble. We really need your help by buying a ticket and coming to visit us, by buying a membership, by making a donation, or buying a ticket for someone else.
A U.S. official says the Navy has upheld the firing of the aircraft carrier captain who urged faster action to protect his crew from a coronavirus outbreak. That decision is a complete reversal for Admiral Mike Gilday, the top Navy officer. Gilday also extended the blame for the ship's pandemic crisis and delayed the promotion of the one-star admiral who was also on board. He concludes that both men made serious errors in judgment. The U.S. official spoke anonymously to describe a report not yet public. The spread of the coronavirus aboard the USS Theodore Roosevelt while on deployment in the Pacific in March exploded into one of the biggest military leadership crises of recent years.
A U.S. official says China was not forthcoming at meetings with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo held here on Oahu this week. Lacey Denise has those details.
U.S. officials say they were disappointed by China's attitude during a recent meeting in Hawaii. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo met with a top Chinese diplomat Wednesday on Oahu at Hickam Air Force Base. Assistant Secretary of State for East Asian and Pacific Affairs David Stilwell tells the Associated Press that the meeting between Pompeo and the Chinese Communist Party's top foreign affairs official were not, quote, really forthcoming. Secretary Pompeo reportedly pushed China to reveal everything it knows about the coronavirus outbreak. He also discussed the country's trade relationship, although the Chinese made a, quote, very clear commitment to follow through with the first phase of the trade agreement reached with President Trump last year. Stilwell says there were still little signs of progress. Stilwell didn't share specifics on the meeting, but did say they broadly revolved around long-standing U.S. complaints about Chinese behavior. He said the meeting was organized in part, quote, to help the Chinese get to understand that their actions are working against them. They need to reassess the direction they are going.
Juneteenth is a day that commemorates the end of slavery. It's the day in 1865 that slaves in Texas learned they were free, more than 2 years after President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation. Skylar Henry has more.
Justice! Thousands are expected to march throughout the day in Washington, D.C. in both celebration of Juneteenth.
For people to just appreciate the history of it, right, and appreciate the fact that there's semblance and importance around not emancipation, obviously different day, but just recognizing the importance of what black people have done in this country.
And a continuation of the protests for racial justice and police reform sparked by George Floyd's death.
I walk all the time and I pray to God to take pain and hatred or any kind of bad feeling out of my heart. I pray for it because it's what I have been feeling.
Senator Kamala Harris announced new legislation to make Juneteenth a federal holiday. The White House issued a statement today saying, "This Juneteenth, we commit as one nation to live true to our highest ideals and to build always toward a freer, stronger country that values the dignity and boundless potential of all Americans." President Trump has repeatedly claimed to be the best president for African Americans.
We created nearly 9,000 opportunity zones, and African American, Asian American, and Hispanic American unemployment and poverty reached all-time lows.
But the Washington Post reports one of the top officials in the State Department is leaving. Writing in her resignation letter, the president's comments and actions surrounding racial injustice and black Americans cut sharply against my core values and convictions. President Trump planned to return to the campaign trail in Tulsa, Oklahoma tonight, but pushed it to tomorrow, following criticism about holding the rally on Juneteenth. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Washington.
All right, we want to switch gears here just a bit. Let's get you over to outside. We're looking towards Diamond Head. The time is now 12:48. Want to get you caught up on what your weekend's going to look like. Here's Guy Hoggy with your This Is Now weather.
Aloha on this Friday. I'm Guy Hoggy with your HawaiiNewsNow.com forecast. High clouds kind of blanketing the state this morning. They're thin, but they will block the sunshine to some extent. We will see, though, lots of sunshine by the afternoon. And we've got some morning showers to deal with, mostly for those windward and Mauka areas with light rainfall totals. Now, the winds are already stepping up. It's going to be a breezy day today. And as we head into the weekend, the winds are expected to back down a little bit, but they will still be with us, and that's going to help with the humidity levels. Today, with those breezy winds, it's going to feel especially nice for the windward sides. Leeward sides, though, getting up to 90 degrees for some spots. Kailua Kona, the outlier, they will not get the trade wind, so it's going to be hot and sticky down there. Now, the surf will be rising later tonight. We're expecting a big swell to move into south and west shores. It could even trigger high surf advisories. But for today, head high, maybe with some pluses, and it's going to be especially choppy over on the east side. So we're in for a long stretch of beautiful trade wind weather with lots of sunshine on tap, although we could see a few more showers shape up this weekend. And then looks like for Father's Day, we'll have another day with the best weather on the planet, which will continue into the latter part of next week. Now, as far as what's going on the mainland, well, we got some warm temperatures heading to Phoenix again, and especially nice for the Pacific Northwest. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
Hope your lucky number is 8, because 88, 88, 88, 88, 88 on the 7-day forecast.
Ooh,
all
hot
the way.
one.
All right, now's the time of our show where we like to check out what's going on social media, and we begin with some entertainment news. That's because the nation's largest movie theater chain has changed its position on mask wearing less than a day after the company became a target of a social media campaign against its initial decision. AMC's CEO said the theater will now require patrons to wear a mask upon reopening. Initially, it said it was going to defer to local officials, but then the company became the target of the hashtag boycott AMC, and that quickly became a trending topic. So you can see the power of social media there.
Yeah. Well, there won't be any trick-or-treating with Mickey Mouse this year. The 2020 Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party is canceled. Walt Disney World says they don't want to present the stage shows. Fireworks and parades with the coronavirus still pose a threat. Disney has also canceled H2O Glow Nights and all of the evening events at Disney's Typhoon Lagoon. Refunds will be given for already purchased tickets. No decision yet on whether Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party will also be canceled.
Oh, Mickey.
Well, Jimmy Kimmel is taking the summer off to spend more time with his family. The late-night host made the announcement Thursday on Jimmy Kimmel Live. The show is going on a 2-week hiatus starting on Monday, and then a series of guest hosts will fill in for Kimmel. Like other talk shows, Kimmel has been continuing his show from home as he quarantined amid the coronavirus pandemic. He says he now wants to spend even more time with his family. Kimmel has done over 3,000 shows in almost 18 years on the job. He's set to host the Emmy Awards on September 20th.
Sounds like he needs a break. That's a lot of shows.
Yeah, and the shows are in his home,
Yeah.
and so it's a mix of work and business
We've
and
been talking
family.
a lot this week about just how the entertainment world's been impacted by all this.
That's right.
Stranger Things not coming out till 2021, which I'm crossing my arms like this, a little upset about that.
No Broadway for the rest of the year.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I hadn't heard that one. That's intense. All right, so this Sunday is a big day, right? It's
Father's Day.
Yeah, let's
Don't
get to some
forget,
good
get
news.
your dad a gift.
Don't tell him. Don't be watching, Dad.
All right, just don't tell him what it is.
Phone call, hug.
Yay! It's a very special Father's Day for one New York dad. He's a healthcare worker on the front lines of the pandemic who ended up getting the coronavirus. Elise Preston has his story.
Joseph Compitello is enjoying every minute with his newborn daughter. He doesn't want to miss a moment after not being able to be in the delivery room when Adriana came into the world.
It was devastating. As much as I wanted to be there, obviously not only to witness the birth of my firstborn, but also to be there to support my wife. We remained on FaceTime during the whole birthing process and the delivery.
I was heartbroken, more like for both of us, but for him too, because he's the best person that you'll ever meet. And, I didn't want that moment taken away from him.
Just a couple of weeks before his wife Gabrielle was scheduled to be induced, Joe, a physician assistant in the emergency department at Staten Island University Hospital, was infected with the coronavirus.
He was seeing patients day after day, taking all of the precautions he was supposed to take, but he's still out there and in it, along with the rest of our staff. So there's always the chance that you're going to get ill.
Dr. Nicole Burwald is the chair of the ER department.
Joe, as well as most of our staff here, put their safety and behind the needs of the community and really went out there day over day to take care of our patients.
Luckily, Joe's case was not severe and his wife never contracted the virus. Joe was finally able to hold his daughter when she was 4 days old.
As long as we're together, we're healthy, that's the most important thing. And we're going to enjoy all these moments together.
It was a tough time, but we came out the other side of it.
The couple says they have so much to look forward to now as a happy, healthy family of 3. Elise Preston, CBS News.
Oh, man. That's a heart-touching story right there.
Yeah, and they're going to have a great Father's Day. And he can give her a hug and a kiss, and oh, it's so heartwarming.
I can't even imagine. Happy Father's Day, everyone out
Yay,
there.
happy Father's
Day, Dad.
Day.
All right, guys, come Monday, big day here for This Is Now. We are going to be going live on KHNO. Don't worry, digital audience. We're still going to be here on Facebook Live and HNN.com and HNN app. But Ashley put together a little piece previewing what's to come.
I think This Is Now will be a great addition to HNN's lineup. Once Sunrise goes off the air, our viewers are really engaged online with us, providing them another newscast during the midday at noon, when they're on their lunch breaks. That's just going to expand HNN's audience and also provide our viewers with another source of news during their day.
Yeah, you're going to see that This Is Now looks a lot different than your typical newscast. We sort of present it in a casual, behind-the-scenes format. We really are going after the big viral stories of the day and, of course, breaking news.
Things people are talking about online or at the water cooler. We don't really have a structured format.
It's a show that's going to give you all the news of the day, but also invoke a lot of emotion. It's the type of show to make you cry, laugh, scream out your set, all in the same 30 minutes.
This Is Now has everything.
This is really a new realm for us. All right, that's coming up Monday at noon. I just want to emphasize, digital audience, we're not going anywhere. So you can still watch us the same way you always have. just some more people are going to get to watch us on TV now as well.
Yay, I'm so proud of you, Jonathan and Ash.
Yeah,
virtual high five.
Yeah. Almost did it. Close call. No, it's been a long road coming, and we are really proud of our little baby here. And I'm so humbled and grateful that you guys have been watching us. So, and Mahia, so grateful you filled in.
Oh, thank you.
Well, Ashley took a little break to gear up for Monday.
Yay.
You guys, that's going to do it for this TGIF. Thank you so much.
It's Friday.
Yes, Friday. Have a great weekend, folks, and stay safe out there.
Aloha.
Bye.